Ladies, if you've ever felt like a caged animal in your own life, desperately clawing at the bars while everyone tells you how lucky you are to be so safe and secure, then what I'm about to tell you will either set you free or terrify you. My name is your name, and I'm about to share something that 95% of women will never hear, the truth about why you feel so empty despite having everything you thought you wanted. Right now, there's a woman listening to this who has the perfect Instagram life, beautiful home, loving family, successful career, but every morning she wakes up feeling like she's suffocating. She smiles, she performs, she pleases everyone around her, but inside, she's dying. That woman might be you, and if it is, I need you to know something. You're not broken, you're not ungrateful, you're not crazy, you're just ... tamed. Comment below right now if you've ever felt trapped in a life that looks perfect from the outside but feels like prison from the inside. Because what I'm about to share will change everything you thought you knew about happiness, success, and what it means to be a woman in this world. But first, let me ask you this. When was the last time you made a decision based on what you wanted, not what everyone else expected from you? Can't remember. That's exactly what I thought. Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. Sarah had it all. The dream husband, the beautiful children, the house in the suburbs, the successful career. From the outside, she was living the perfect life that every woman is supposed to want. But Sarah called me at 2 a.m. one night, sobbing. "I don't know who I am anymore," she whispered. "I've spent so many years being what everyone else needed me to be that I've completely lost myself. I'm 35 years old, and I have no idea what I actually want from life." Sarah's story isn't unique. It's the story of millions of women who have been systematically trained to abandon themselves in the name of being good. From the moment we're born, society starts building our cage, and the most insidious part, we help them do it. Be nice, sweetheart, don't be too loud, don't make anyone uncomfortable. Think about others before yourself. A good woman sacrifices for her family. Don't be selfish. Sound familiar? These messages get repeated so often that they become the bars of our prison. We learn that our worth comes from how well we can anticipate and meet everyone else's needs. We become professional people pleasers, expert mind readers, masters of self-sacrifice, and the result? We become strangers to ourselves. We say yes when we mean no. We smile when we want to scream. We stay quiet when we want to speak up. We shrink when we want to expand. We dim our light so others feel comfortable. We become tamed, but here's what they don't tell you about being tamed. It's killing you. Not literally, although the stress and exhaustion certainly take their toll, but spiritually, emotionally, mentally. The real you, the wild you, the authentic you is suffocating under the weight of all these expectations. You know that feeling of constant exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure? That's your authentic self dying a slow death. You know that anxiety that sits in your chest like a stone. That's your intuition screaming that something is wrong. You know that depression that creeps in despite having everything. That's your soul mourning the life you're not living. Let me ask you something. How many dreams have you abandoned because they were impractical or might disappoint someone? How many times have you bitten your tongue when you desperately wanted to speak your truth? How many relationships have you stayed in, romantic, family, or friendship, that drained you because leaving would be selfish? How many versions of yourself have you killed to make others comfortable? If you're feeling a pit in your stomach right now, that's your knowing trying to wake up. Don't ignore it. But what if I told you there's another way? What if I told you that everything you've been taught about being a good woman is actually a lie designed to keep you small, manageable, and controllable? What if I told you that your restlessness, your dissatisfaction, your constant feeling that something is missing, what if all of that isn't a problem to be fixed, but a compass pointing you toward your truth? This is where the concept of becoming untamed comes in. To be untamed doesn't mean to be wild and reckless. It doesn't mean to hurt others or abandon all responsibility. To be untamed means to return to your essential self, the self you were before the world told you who you should be. It means learning to trust your inner knowing more than external expectations. It means choosing authenticity over approval. It means honoring your needs without guilt. It means using your voice even when it makes others uncomfortable. It means living your truth even when it disappoints people. Think about a wild animal, let's say a wolf. A wolf doesn't look around the forest asking other animals what it should do. It doesn't perform tricks for approval. It doesn't dim its howl so the rabbits feel more comfortable. A wolf follows its instincts. It trusts its inner knowing. It lives authentically. That's what we're going to learn to do. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I can't just do whatever I want. I have responsibilities. People depend on me. And you're right, you do have responsibilities. But here's the thing, you can meet your responsibilities from a place of authentic choice rather than resentful obligation. You can care for others without abandoning yourself. You can be loving without being a doormat. You can be successful without selling your soul. The goal isn't to become selfish, it's to become whole. Chapter 1. Know yourself. The first step to becoming untamed is learning to know yourself. And I mean really know yourself. Not the version of you that everyone else wants to see. Most women have spent so many years shapeshifting to fit other people's expectations that they've completely lost touch with their authentic self. They're like actresses who've been playing a role for so long that they've forgotten who they were before the performance began. Let me share something personal with you. For years, I thought I knew myself. I could tell you my favorite color, my favorite food, my career goals. But when someone asked me, "What do you really want from life?" I froze. I realized I knew what my mother wanted for me. I knew what my husband expected. I knew what society told me I should want. But what did I actually want? I had no idea. This is what I call the great forgetting, the process by which we gradually forget who we are in favor of who we think we should be. But here's the beautiful truth. Your authentic self is still there. She's been buried under years of conditioning, but she's alive and waiting for you to remember her. So how do we reconnect with our knowing? First, we have to understand the difference between knowing and being known. Being known is external. It's about other people understanding you, recognizing you, validating you. Most women spend their entire lives trying to be known, seeking approval and acceptance from the outside world. But knowing, true knowing, is internal. It's that quiet voice inside you that knows what's right for you, even when everyone else disagrees. It's your intuition, your gut feeling, your inner compass. Your knowing has been with you since birth. It's the part of you that knows when something feels right or wrong, regardless of what logic tells you. It's the part that makes you feel alive and energized when you're moving in the right direction, and drained and anxious when you're not. But we've been taught to ignore our knowing. We've been told it's not reliable, not practical, not important. We've been taught to trust everyone else's opinions more than our own inner wisdom. Think about it. How many times have you had a gut feeling about something, a person, a job, a decision that turned out to be absolutely right, but you ignored it because it didn't make logical sense? How many times have you known something in your bones, but dismissed it because someone else told you that you were wrong? Your knowing is your superpower, but it's been systematically trained out of you. Here's the first exercise I want you to try. For the next week, pay attention to your body's responses throughout the day. When someone asks you to do something, notice, does your body expand or contract? Do you feel energized or drained, light or heavy? Your body is constantly giving you information about what's aligned for you and what isn't. But we've learned to override these signals in favor of what we think we should do. Start small. If someone invites you to something and your immediate body response is contraction or heaviness, try saying, "Let me check my calendar and get back to you." Give yourself time to feel into whether this is truly what you want to do. If your body expands and feels light when you think about pursuing a certain interest or goal, pay attention to that. That's your knowing trying to guide you. The second part of knowing yourself is getting clear on your values, not the values you inherited from your family or absorbed from society, but your authentic values. Ask yourself, if no one else's opinion mattered, what would be most important to you? What principles would guide your decisions? What kind of person would you choose to be? Write these down. These are your true north, the compass that should guide your decisions. When the world gets noisy and confusing, remember, knowing yourself isn't a destination, it's a practice. You're not going to figure it all out in one day, but every time you choose to listen to your inner voice over external noise, you're coming home to yourself, and that, beautiful woman, is the beginning of becoming untamed. Chapter 2. Untame your mind. Now that we've started reconnecting with your knowing, it's time to tackle the biggest prison of all, your own mind. Here's a truth that might shock you. 90% of the thoughts running through your head right now aren't even yours. They're programming. They're voices of your parents, teachers, society, media, religion, all mixed together into a toxic cocktail of limiting, beliefs that keep you small and manageable. Let me give you an example. How many of these thoughts have you had? I'm not smart enough. I'm too old to start over. Good mothers don't pursue their own dreams. I should be grateful for what I have. I'm being selfish for wanting more. What will people think? I don't deserve that. It's too risky. I'm not the type of person who does that. These aren't your thoughts. They're the thoughts of a tamed mind. They're the mental bars of your cage. Your untamed mind, your free mind, thinks very differently. Your untamed mind says, I can learn anything I set my mind to. It's never too late to become who I'm meant to be. Taking care of my needs makes me a better mother. Gratitude and growth can coexist. Self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. Other people's opinions are none of my business. I am worthy of all the good things life has to offer. Great things require risk. I get to decide what type of person I am. Do you feel the difference? Do you feel how one set of thoughts contracts you while the other expands you? The process of untaming your mind is about identifying these limiting beliefs and consciously choosing to replace them with thoughts that serve your highest good. But here's what's tricky. These limiting beliefs don't feel like lies to you. They feel like truth. They feel like reality, because you've been thinking them for so long that they've become your default operating system. It's like living in a house with tinted windows for so long that you forget the sky isn't actually green. The tint becomes your reality. So how do we remove the tint? How do we see clearly again? First, we become aware. We start paying attention to our thoughts instead of being unconsciously controlled by them. For the next 3 days, I want you to carry a small notebook with you. Every time you catch yourself thinking a limiting thought, especially about yourself or your capabilities, write it down. Don't judge it. Don't try to change it yet. Just notice it and write it down. You might be shocked by how many limiting thoughts you have in a single day. Most women are. We're running internal commentary that would be considered emotional abuse if someone else was saying it to us. After 3 days of awareness, we move to the second step, questioning. For each limiting belief you've identified, ask yourself, is this actually true, or is it just a thought I've been thinking? Where did this belief come from? How does this thought make me feel? How does this thought affect my behavior? What would be possible if I didn't believe this? Let me walk you through an example. Let's say you wrote down the thought, I'm not smart enough to start my own business. Is this actually true? Have you taken an intelligence test that proves you're not smart enough? Or is this just a thought you've been thinking? Where did this belief come from? Maybe a teacher once told you that you weren't good at math. Maybe your father said women aren't good with money. Maybe you failed at something once and decided that meant you weren't smart. How does this thought make you feel? Probably small, defeated, hopeless. How does it affect your behavior? It probably stops you from even researching business ideas. It keeps you playing small. What would be possible if you didn't believe this? You might actually try. You might discover you're more capable than you thought. You might create something amazing. The third step is replacement. For every limiting belief, we consciously choose a new, empowering belief. Instead of, I'm not smart enough, you might choose, I'm capable of learning whatever I need to know to succeed. Instead of, it's too late for me, you might choose, I'm exactly where I need to be, and it's the perfect time to begin. Instead of, I don't deserve good things, you might choose, I am worthy of all the love, success, and happiness life has to offer. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Your brain is going to resist these new thoughts at first. It's going to say, that's not true. That's just positive thinking nonsense. That's normal. Your brain has been running the old software for years. It's going to take time to install the new program. But here's what I want you to remember. You get to choose your thoughts. You are not a victim of your mind. You are the master of it. Every time you catch yourself in an old limiting thought pattern, pause, take a breath, and consciously choose the new thought. It might feel fake at first. That's okay. You're not trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. You're trying to remember what is true. You are capable. You are worthy. You are enough. You always have been. The tamed mind forgot this. But the untamed mind knows it as deeply as it knows its own name. Chapter 3. Untame your relationships. Now we come to perhaps the most challenging part of becoming untamed, your relationships. Because here's what nobody tells you. The people in your life have become comfortable with your cage, and when you start to break free, some of them are going to try to put you back in. This isn't because they're bad people. It's because you're Transformation threatens their comfort zone. Your awakening forces them to look at their own lives and ask uncomfortable questions. Your freedom highlights their own imprisonment. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria started her untaming journey 6 months ago. She began setting boundaries with her mother, who had been calling her multiple times a day with complaints and drama. She stopped automatically saying yes to every social event that drained her energy. She started pursuing a creative hobby that brought her joy. And you know what happened? Her family accused her of being selfish. Her friends said she was changing in a negative way. Her mother told her she was being ungrateful and hurtful. Maria called me in tears. "Maybe they're right," she said. "Maybe I am being selfish. Maybe I should just go back to the way things were." I told Maria what I'm going to tell you. Disappointing people is not the same as harming people. When you start living authentically, you're going to disappoint some people. This is inevitable. This is necessary. This is part of the process. But disappointing people and harming people are two completely different things. When you set a boundary, you might disappoint someone, but you're not harming them. You're actually teaching them how to treat you with respect. When you say no to a request that doesn't align with your values or energy, you might disappoint someone, but you're not harming them. You're being honest instead of resentful. When you choose to pursue your dreams instead of living everyone else's version of your life, you might disappoint some people, but you're not harming them. You're showing them what's possible. The people who truly love you, the people who deserve a place in your untamed life, will support your growth even when it's uncomfortable for them. They will celebrate your boundaries even when it means they can't take advantage of you anymore. They will cheer for your dreams even when they don't understand them. But some people won't. And this is where untaming your relationships gets painful but necessary. You're going to have to make some difficult decisions about who gets to stay in your life and who doesn't. You're going to have to evaluate your relationships based on new criteria. Does this person support my growth or try to keep me small? Do I feel energized or drained after spending time with them? Do they respect my boundaries or constantly push against them? Do they celebrate my successes or minimize them? Can I be authentic around them or do I have to perform? These questions will reveal some uncomfortable truths. You might realize that some of your oldest friendships are actually toxic. You might discover that certain family members are emotional vampires. You might understand that some relationships have been based on your willingness to be a caretaker rather than genuine connection. This realization can be devastating, but it's also liberating. Because here's what happens when you start untaming your relationships. You make room for the right people to enter your life. When you stop tolerating disrespect, you attract respectful people. When you stop people-pleasing, you attract people who love you for who you are. When you stop shrinking yourself, you attract people who celebrate your full magnificence. But first, you have to get comfortable with disappointing the wrong people. Let me give you some practical tools for untaming your relationships. First, learn to set boundaries without guilt. A boundary is not a wall, it's a gate, with you as the gatekeeper. You decide what energy, behavior, and treatment you'll allow into your life. Practice saying these phrases: "That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that. I've decided not to. That's not something I'm comfortable with." Notice none of these require an explanation or justification. You don't owe anyone a dissertation on why you're setting a boundary. Second, stop over-explaining your decisions. When you over-explain, you're essentially asking for permission to live your life. Untamed women don't ask permission, they inform. Instead of, "I'm so sorry, but I can't come to your party because I'm really tired and I've been so busy lately, and I know you'll probably be mad, but I just need some time to myself and I hope you understand." Try, "Thank you for the invitation. I won't be able to make it." Third, get comfortable with other people's emotions. When you set boundaries, some people are going to be angry, hurt, or disappointed. That's their emotional experience to have. You are not responsible for managing other people's feelings. You can be compassionate without being responsible. You can be loving without being a doormat. Remember, the goal isn't to hurt people, it's to honor yourself. But if honoring yourself disappoints someone, that's information about the health of that relationship, not evidence that you're doing something wrong. Your untamed relationships will be fewer in number, but deeper in quality. They'll be based on authenticity rather than performance, mutual respect rather than one-sided caretaking, and genuine love rather than codependency. And that, beautiful woman, is worth disappointing a few people for. Chapter 4. Untame your dreams. Let's talk about the graveyard of dreams that lives inside every tamed woman's heart. You know what I'm talking about. That secret place where you've buried all the things you once wanted to be, do, create, or experience. The dreams you abandoned because they were impractical or unrealistic, or would make you a bad mother or irresponsible woman. Maybe you wanted to be an artist, but you became an accountant because it was stable. Maybe you dreamed of traveling the world, but you settled down early because it was the right thing to do. Maybe you wanted to start your own business, but you stayed in a soul-crushing job because it was secure. Maybe you wanted to write a book, but you convinced yourself you had nothing important to say. I want you to take a moment right now and think about the dreams you've killed in the name of being practical, responsible, or realistic. Feel that ache in your chest. That's your soul, mourning the life you're not living. But here's what I want you to know. It's not too late. It's never too late. Those dreams aren't really dead. They're just sleeping, waiting for you to be brave enough to wake them up. When I was 35, I felt like my life was over. I had convinced myself that my dreaming years were behind me, that I was too old to start over, to set in my ways, to change course. I looked at my life, the career I'd built, the relationships I'd formed, the identity I'd created, and I felt trapped. But then I realized something. The only thing standing between me and my dreams was a story I was telling myself about what was possible for a woman my age. Age is just a number. It's never too late to become who you're meant to be. Sarah was 45 when she left her corporate job to become a yoga instructor. Michelle was 50 when she wrote her first novel. Janet was 60 when she started the non-profit she'd dreamed about for decades. The world wants you to believe that dreams have expiration dates, that there's a window of opportunity that closes after a certain age. This is a lie designed to keep you playing small. Your dreams don't have expiration dates. They're not milk that goes bad if you don't use them by a certain time. They're seeds that can grow whenever you're ready to plant them. But untaming your dreams isn't just about age, it's about permission. That as tamed women, we've been taught to seek permission for everything. Permission to want more. Permission to take up space. Permission to pursue our interests. Permission to dream big. But here's the truth. You don't need anyone's permission to live your life. You don't need your partner's permission to pursue your passion. You don't need your parents' approval to change direction. You don't need your friends' understanding to follow your calling. You don't need society's validation to create the life you want. The only permission you need is your own. But giving yourself permission can be the hardest thing of all, because it means taking responsibility for your life. It means admitting that you've been playing small not because you had to, but because you chose to. It means acknowledging that you have more power than you've been willing to claim. So how do we untame our dreams? First, we have to dig them up. We have to go to that graveyard in our hearts and start excavating. Get out a piece of paper and write down every dream you've ever had, big or small, practical or wild, recent or from childhood. Don't edit yourself. Don't worry about whether they're realistic or achievable. Just write them down. What did you want to be when you grew up? What experiences have you always wanted to have? What would you do if money were no object? What would you pursue if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you attempt if no one would judge you? Write it all down. Every single thing. Now, look at your list. Feel the energy of those dreams. Notice which ones still make your heart race. Which ones still fill you with excitement, despite being buried for years. Those are the dreams that are still alive. Those are the ones calling to you. Second, we have to stop making excuses and start making plans. I know. You have a million reasons why your dreams aren't practical right now. You don't have the time, the money, the resources, the support. You have responsibilities, obligations, people depending on you. But here's what I've learned. There's never a perfect time to pursue your dreams. There will always be obstacles, challenges, reasons to wait. The question isn't whether the timing is perfect, it's whether you're willing to start imperfectly. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow to pursue your passion, but you can spend 30 minutes today researching what it would take. You don't have to write a novel this year, but you can write one page today. You don't have to travel the world immediately, but you can start saving $20 a week for your dream trip. Small actions, taken consistently, create massive change over time. Third, we have to get comfortable with being a beginner again. One of the biggest barriers to pursuing our dreams later in life is the fear of not being good at something. We've become experts in our current lives, and the thought of being a novice again is terrifying. But being a beginner is beautiful. It's where all growth happens. It's where magic lives. God, give yourself permission to be bad at something you love, rather than good at something that drains you. Fourth, we have to stop waiting for external validation and start creating internal motivation. The world might not understand your dreams. People might think you're having a midlife crisis or going through a phase. They might question your priorities or judge your choices. Let them. Your dreams are not a democracy. You don't need a vote of confidence from the peanut gallery to pursue what sets your soul on fire. The only validation that matters is the expansion you feel in your chest when you think about your dreams. The only approval you need is the joy that floods your system when you imagine living them. Your untamed dreams are not selfish, they're essential. They're not frivolous, they're fundamental. They're not optional, they're oxygen for your soul. The world needs what you have to offer. The world needs your art, your ideas, your unique perspective, your special gifts. But first, you have to be brave enough to unbury them. Chapter 5. Untame Your Power. Let's talk about the most dangerous thing a woman can do in this world. Own her power. From the moment we're born, society begins a systematic campaign to disconnect us from our power. We're taught to be nice instead of honest, quiet instead of vocal, accommodating instead of assertive, agreeable instead of authentic. We're taught that powerful women are bitches, that ambitious women are selfish, that confident women are arrogant. We're taught to apologize for taking up space, to downplay our accomplishments, to shrink ourselves so others feel comfortable. And we've internalized these messages so deeply that we've become afraid of our own power. But here's what they don't want you to know. Your power isn't something you have to earn, develop, or be given. Your power is something you are. It's your birthright. It's been inside you all along, waiting for you to remember it. Think about when you were a little girl, before the world taught you to be small. You knew exactly what you wanted. You asked for it directly. You expressed your emotions freely. You took up space without apology. You were authentically, unapologetically yourself. That little girl, she was powerful, not because she was loud or demanding, but because she was authentic. She knew who she was, and she wasn't afraid to show it. That power is still inside you. It's been buried under years of conditioning, but it's there, pulsing like a heartbeat, waiting for you to reclaim it. So what does it mean to be a powerful woman? What does untamed power look like? Untamed power is knowing your worth and never accepting less than you deserve. Untamed power is speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. Untamed power is taking up the space you're entitled to, without apology. Untamed power is making decisions based on your values rather than other people's opinions. Untamed power is saying no, without guilt, and yes, without resentment. Untamed power is owning your accomplishments instead of deflecting compliments. Untamed power is trusting your intuition, even when logic disagrees. Untamed power is choosing authenticity over acceptance. But here's where it gets tricky. When you start owning your power, people are going to try to put you back in your place. They're going to call you difficult, demanding, selfish, or worse. They're going to try to shame you back into smallness. This is not your problem. This is their discomfort with your growth. Let me tell you about Lisa. Lisa was a brilliant marketing executive who had been overlooked for promotion after promotion while watching less qualified men advance past her. For years, she stayed quiet, worked harder, hoped someone would notice her value. Then Lisa decided to untame her power. She started speaking up in meetings. She began advocating for herself and her ideas. She negotiated for the salary she deserved. She stopped apologizing for her expertise. And yes, some people called her difficult. Some colleagues said she had changed, and not in a good way. Some people preferred the old Lisa, who was quiet and accommodating. But Lisa got the promotion, and the salary increase, and the respect she had always deserved but never demanded. That's the thing about untamed power. It makes some people uncomfortable, because it forces them to confront their own relationship with power. When you stop playing small, it highlights how small others are choosing to play. But your power is not about making others comfortable. Your power is about living authentically and creating the life you deserve. So how do you start reclaiming your power? First, stop apologizing for existing. Count how many times you say sorry in a day, for taking up space, for having opinions, for needing things, for being human. Most women apologize dozens of times a day for things that don't require apologies. Practice replacing "I'm sorry" with more appropriate phrases. Instead of "sorry I'm late," try "thank you for waiting." Instead of "sorry for bothering you," try "thanks for your time." Instead of "sorry, but I disagree," try "I see it differently." Second, own your accomplishments. When someone compliments you, resist the urge to deflect or minimize. Instead of "oh, it was nothing" or "I just got lucky," try "thank you" or "I worked really hard on that." Your accomplishments are not accidents. They're the result of your talent, effort, and dedication. Own them. Third, practice taking up space, literally and figuratively. Sit with your shoulders back and your head high. Speak clearly and at an appropriate volume. Share your ideas in meetings. Take credit for your contributions. Your voice matters. Your ideas have value. Your presence is important. Fourth, learn to negotiate. For salary, for respect, for what you need in relationships. Powerful women don't just accept what they're offered, they advocate for what they deserve. Research shows that women who negotiate earn significantly more over their lifetimes than those who don't. But we've been taught that negotiating is unfeminine, pushy, or rude. This is nonsense. Knowing your worth and asking for it is not pushy, it's powerful. Fifth, surround yourself with other powerful women. Find mentors, friends, and colleagues who celebrate your strength rather than feeling threatened by it. Join communities of women who are also reclaiming their power. When you're surrounded by women who own their power, it becomes easier to own yours. Remember, your power is not about dominating others or putting people down. True power lifts others up. True power creates more power. True power inspires. When you own your power authentically, you give other women permission to own theirs. When you speak your truth, you create space for others to speak theirs. When you take up your rightful space, you show others that there's room for them to. Your power is not selfish, it's service. The world needs powerful women. The world needs your voice, your ideas, your leadership, your unique contribution. But first, you have to be brave enough to claim what has always been yours. You are not too much. You never were. You are exactly as much as you need to be. It's time to stop dimming your light and start shining at full brightness. It's time to stop playing small and start taking up all the space you're entitled to. It's time to own your power, beautiful woman. The world is waiting. Chapter 6, Daily Untaming Practices. Now that we've covered the core principles of becoming untamed, let's talk about how to actually live this in your daily life. Because transformation isn't a one-time event, it's a daily practice. Every morning, you wake up with a choice. Are you going to live today as your tamed self or your untamed self? Are you going to default to old patterns of people-pleasing and self-abandonment? Or are you going to consciously choose authenticity and self-honor? Untamed life isn't built in grand gestures. It's built in small, daily acts of courage. It's built in moments when you choose your truth over comfort, your authenticity over approval, your growth over safety. Let me give you a practical framework for living untamed every single day. Before you check your phone each morning, before you start responding to other people's needs and demands, take 5 minutes to reconnect with yourself. Ask yourself these 3 questions. How do I feel right now? In this moment, what does my soul need today? What would my untamed self do today? The first question connects you with your present moment experience. Most tamed women are so disconnected from their feelings that they go through entire days without checking in with themselves. Are you tired, anxious, excited, overwhelmed? Just notice without judgment. Your feelings are information, not problems to be solved. The second question connects you with your deeper needs. Maybe your soul needs rest, creativity, connection, solitude, adventure, or peace. When you know what you need, you can make choices throughout the day that honor those needs. The third question connects you with your authentic self. Your untamed self might choose to speak up in that meeting. She might say no to that obligation that drains you. She might pursue that creative project that scares and excites you. Throughout your day, before saying yes to any request, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my values and priorities? Do I have the energy and capacity for this? Am I saying yes from joy or from guilt and obligation? What is my body telling me about this decision? If your body contracts, if you feel heavy or drained just thinking about it, if you're saying yes from guilt rather than genuine desire, that's information. Honor it. Remember, Every yes to something you don't want is a no to something you do want. Every time you abandon yourself to please others, you're teaching them that your needs don't matter. Before bed, reflect on your day. When did I honor my authentic self today? When did I abandon myself to please others? What would I do differently tomorrow? What am I proud of myself for today? This isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about awareness and gentle course correction. Celebrate the moments when you chose authenticity and learn from the moments when you didn't. Single quotes each week. Give yourself one small challenge that pushes you toward greater authenticity. Practice saying "let me think about it" instead of saying yes to requests. Express one authentic opinion in a conversation, even if others might disagree. Do one thing purely for your own joy, without justifying it to anyone. Set one boundary that you've been avoiding setting. Ask for something you need but have been afraid to request. Share one dream or goal with someone, even if you're not sure they'll understand. These challenges aren't about dramatic life changes. They're about building your authenticity muscle. Like physical exercise, the more you practice being authentic, the stronger and more natural it becomes. When you catch yourself falling into old patterns of people-pleasing or self-abandonment, use these mantras to reconnect with your power. I trust my inner knowing. My needs matter. I don't need permission to be myself. Other people's opinions are none of my business. I am worthy of love exactly as I am. I choose authenticity over approval. My voice matters. I am allowed to take up space. I can disappoint others and still be a good person. I am not responsible for other people's emotions. Transformation is easier when you're not doing it alone. Start building a support system of people who celebrate your growth. Find one person, a friend, family member, or mentor, who can be your untaming accountability partner. Share your journey with them. Ask them to call you out when you're playing small and celebrate you when you're being authentic. Join communities of women who are also on this journey. Online groups, local meets, book clubs. Find your tribe of women who understand what it means to break free from conditioning. Consider working with a therapist or coach who specializes in women's empowerment and authenticity. Sometimes we need professional support to undo years of conditioning. There will be days when you feel pulled back toward old patterns, when the pressure to be good feels overwhelming, when you start doubting whether this untaming journey is worth it. For those days, create an untaming emergency kit. Write yourself a letter from your untamed self to your tamed self. Remind yourself why you started this journey and what's possible on the other side. Create a playlist of songs that make you feel powerful and authentic. Keep a list of your accomplishments and moments of growth that you can reference when self-doubt creeps in. Have the phone number of your most supportive friend ready to call when you need encouragement. Remember, becoming untamed is not a destination, it's a way of being. Some days you'll feel wild and free and powerful. Other days you'll feel scared and small and tamed. Both are part of the journey. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. It's choosing authenticity more often than approval. It's honoring yourself more consistently than abandoning yourself. Every small act of self is a victory. Every boundary you set is a step toward freedom. Every time you choose your truth over comfort, you're becoming more untamed. You don't have to transform overnight. You just have to start where you are, with what you have, and take one authentic step at a time. Chapter 7: Transformation Stories. Let me tell you about 3 women who decided to stop living tamed lives, and what happened when they chose to become untamed. The first is Jessica, a 42-year-old mother of 3, who had spent 2 decades being the perfect wife and mother. She cooked every meal from scratch, volunteered at every school event, kept an immaculate house, and never complained. From the outside, she had the perfect life, but inside, she was dying. Jessica realized she hadn't made a single decision for herself in over 15 years. Every choice she made was filtered through what would make her husband happy, what would be best for her children, what would make her look like a good mother to other people. She couldn't even remember what foods she actually liked to eat, because she had been cooking only what her family preferred for so long. The breaking point came when her teenage daughter asked her, "Mom, what do you want to do with your life?" And Jessica couldn't answer. She literally had no idea. That night, Jessica started her untaming journey. She began with small things, choosing a restaurant she wanted to go to, buying clothes in colors she loved instead of practical neutrals, saying no to one unnecessary volunteer commitment. Her family was confused at first. Her husband asked why she was being selfish suddenly. Her children complained when she stopped doing everything for them. But Jessica kept going. She started taking art classes, something she had loved in college but abandoned when she got married. She began setting boundaries with her extended family who had been using her as the default caretaker for everyone's problems. 6 months later, Jessica told me, "I feel like I'm meeting myself for the first time in 20 years. My children are more independent, my marriage is more honest, and I'm creating the most beautiful paintings. I didn't know I could still feel this alive." The second story is about Carmen, a 35-year-old corporate lawyer who had built a successful career but felt completely empty inside. She was making 6 figures, had a corner office, and was on track to make partner. But every morning, she had to force herself to get out of bed. Carmen had always been driven by external validation. She became a lawyer because her parents were proud of her. She worked 80-hour weeks because her colleagues respected her. She lived in an expensive apartment she couldn't afford because it impressed people, but none of it made her happy. She felt like she was living someone else's life, wearing someone else's clothes, pursuing someone else's dreams. The wake-up call came when she had a panic attack in the middle of a board meeting. She realized that her body was literally rejecting the life she had built. Carmen started therapy and began exploring what she actually wanted, not what she thought she should want. She discovered that she had always been passionate about environmental issues, but had dismissed that interest as not practical enough. It took her a year to make the transition. But Carmen left her law firm and started working for an environmental non-profit. Her salary was cut in half, but she told me, "I wake up every day excited about my work. I'm making a difference in something I care about. I sleep better, I laugh more, I feel like myself again." The third story is about Rosa, a 55-year-old woman who had been married for 30 years to a man who gradually became more controlling and emotionally abusive. For decades, she told herself it wasn't that bad, that she should be grateful he didn't hit her, that she was too old to start over. Rosa had lost herself so completely in trying to keep peace in her marriage that she didn't even recognize the woman she saw in the mirror. She walked on eggshells in her own home, apologized for everything, and had learned to make herself invisible to avoid conflict. The turning point came when her daughter, now grown, said to her, "Mum, I'm afraid to get married because I don't want to end up like you." That sentence shattered something inside Rosa. She realized that by staying small and accepting mistreatment, she was teaching her daughter that this was what women deserved. Rosa started seeing a therapist who specialized in emotional abuse. She began to understand that what she had been experiencing wasn't normal marriage difficulties, it was systematic control and manipulation. It took Rosa 2 years to build up the courage and resources to leave, but she did it. At 57 years old, she started over completely. She got her own apartment, reconnected with friends she had lost touch with, and started pursuing interests her husband had always dismissed. Rosa went back to school and became a counselor who helps other women in abusive relationships. She told me, "I thought my life was over when I left my marriage. Instead, it was just beginning. I'm helping other women find their way out of the darkness, and I've never felt more purposeful." These women didn't transform overnight. They didn't wave a magic wand and suddenly become untamed. They made small, brave choices every day. They faced criticism and doubt and fear, but they kept going. Jessica's family eventually adjusted and started respecting her boundaries. Her marriage became more authentic because she was being more authentic. Carmen's parents were initially disappointed about her career change, but they came to see how much happier and healthier she became. Rosa's ex-husband tried to make her divorce as difficult as possible, but she had built a support system of people who helped her through it. Each of these women will tell you that becoming untamed was the hardest thing they ever did, but they'll also tell you it was the most important thing they ever did. They'll tell you that the temporary discomfort of other people's disapproval was nothing compared to the permanent pain of living a false life. They'll tell you that they wish they had started sooner, but they're grateful they started at all. And they'll tell you that if they can do it, so can you. Your story is waiting to be written. Your untamed life is waiting to be lived. The only question is, when will you begin? Chapter 8, Overcoming Obstacles. Let's be honest about something. Becoming untamed isn't easy. If it were, every woman would be living authentically and following her dreams. The reason so many women stay tamed isn't because they're weak or lazy, it's because there are real obstacles. real fears, and real consequences to living authentically in a world that profits from your smallness. So let's talk about the biggest obstacles you're going to face on this journey and how to overcome them. The first obstacle is fear of disappointing your family. This is the big one that keeps most women trapped. You look at your parents who sacrificed for you, your partner who depends on you, your children who need you, and you think, how can I be selfish enough to put my own needs first? Listen to me carefully. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's necessary. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you don't have. When you abandon yourself to take care of everyone else, you're not being noble. You're being destructive to yourself, and ultimately to them. Your children don't need a martyred mother. They need a whole mother. They need to see what it looks like when a woman honors herself, follows her dreams, and lives authentically. Your partner doesn't need a resentful caretaker. They need an equal partner who brings her full self to the relationship. Yes, your family might be uncomfortable when you start setting boundaries and pursuing your own interests. Yes, they might accuse you of being selfish or changing in ways they don't like. But their discomfort is not your responsibility to manage. Your responsibility is to model what authentic living looks like. The second obstacle is financial security concerns. I can't leave my job to pursue my passion because I have bills to pay. I can't start over because I need steady income. Can't take risks because other people depend on my financial contribution. These are valid concerns, but they're often used as excuses to avoid the real work of transformation. You don't have to quit your job tomorrow to start living more authentically. You can start where you are. Maybe you can't leave your corporate job immediately, but you can start that side business you've been dreaming about. Maybe you can't go back to school full-time, but you can take one online class. Maybe you can't travel the world right now, but you can start exploring your own city with fresh eyes. Financial security is important, but so is your soul's fulfillment. The goal isn't to be reckless, it's to be strategic. Start building the life you want while maintaining the security you need. Create a transition plan that honors both your practical needs and your authentic desires. The third obstacle is social judgment and criticism. When you start living authentically, people are going to have opinions. They're going to say you've changed, that you're going through a phase, that you're being selfish or unrealistic. Here's what I want you to remember. The people who criticize your growth are usually the people who are most threatened by it. Your transformation holds up a mirror to their own unfulfilled lives, and that makes them uncomfortable. You cannot control what people think about you, but you can control how much power you give their opinions. Other people's opinions are none of your business. They're a reflection of their own fears, limitations, and insecurities, not a statement about your worth or your choices. The fourth obstacle is self-doubt and imposter syndrome. Who am I to want more? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if I don't deserve the life I'm dreaming of? Self-doubt is not evidence that you're not capable, it's evidence that you're human. Everyone who has ever done anything meaningful has experienced self-doubt. The difference between people who achieve their dreams and people who don't isn't the absence of fear, it's the willingness to act despite the fear. You don't have to feel confident to be brave. You don't have to have all the answers to take the first step. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of your dreams. The fifth obstacle is the sunk cost fallacy. I've already invested so much time and energy in this life, this career, this relationship, I can't just throw it all away now. But here's the truth. The time you've already invested is gone whether you change course or not. The only time that matters is the time you have left. Do you want to spend the rest of your life defending choices that no longer serve you? Or do you want to make new choices that align with who you're becoming? Yes, change might mean that some of your previous investments don't pay off the way you expected, but staying in a situation that's wrong for you is a guaranteed loss. At least if you change course, you have a chance at winning. The sixth obstacle is perfectionism. I can't start until I have the perfect plan. I can't make a move until I'm sure it's the right one. I can't begin until conditions are ideal. Perfectionism isn't about high standards, it's about fear. It's about being so afraid of making the wrong choice that you make no choice at all. But not choosing is still a choice. It's choosing to stay where you are. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You don't need to have everything figured out to take the first step. You just need to be willing to start imperfectly and adjust as you go. Remember, every single woman who has ever lived authentically has faced these same obstacles. The difference isn't that they were braver or stronger or had fewer responsibilities. It's that they decided their freedom was worth fighting for. Your obstacles are real, but they're not insurmountable. Your fears are valid, but they don't have to be in charge. Your challenges are significant, but you are more significant. The question isn't whether you'll face obstacles on your journey to becoming untamed. You will. The question is whether you'll let those obstacles stop you, or whether you'll find a way to overcome them. Because here's what I know about you. You're stronger than you think, braver than you feel, and more capable than you've been told. You have everything you need to overcome whatever stands between you and your authentic life. The only thing standing between you and your untamed life is your willingness to fight for it. Closing, we've reached the end of our journey together. But this isn't really an ending, it's a beginning. Everything we've talked about today has been building to this moment, to this choice, to this question. What are you going to do now? You can close this video and go back to your tamed life. You can pretend you never heard these words, never felt this stirring in your soul, never glimpsed the possibility of living differently. You can choose safety over growth, comfort over authenticity, approval over truth, and no one will blame you. Living tamed is easier in many ways. It's predictable, it's safe, it's what everyone expects. But here's what I want you to know. Once you've seen the cage, you can never unsee it. Once you've felt the call to authentic living, it will never stop calling. Once you've tasted the possibility of freedom, settling for imprisonment will slowly kill your soul. So I'm going to ask you to be brave. I'm going to ask you to choose the harder path, the uncertain path, the path that leads to who you really are. I want you to make a commitment to yourself right now. Not a perfect commitment, not a commitment to transform overnight, but a commitment to start. A commitment to take one small step toward your authentic life today. Maybe that step is finally having the conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's setting the boundary you've been afraid to set. Maybe it's saying no to something that drains you or yes to something that excites you. Maybe it's simply looking in the mirror and saying, I deserve to be happy. Whatever your first step is, take it today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when conditions are perfect. Today, because here's the truth. There will never be a perfect time to start living authentically. There will always be reasons to wait, obstacles to overcome, people to consider. But your life is happening now. Your dreams are calling now. Your authentic self is ready now. I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from today. Imagine that you chose to stay tamed, that you let fear win, that you decided your dreams weren't worth fighting for. How does that feel? What does that version of your life look like? Now imagine the other possibility. Imagine that you chose courage over comfort, authenticity over approval, growth over safety. Imagine that you spent this year becoming more yourself than you've ever been. Imagine pursuing dreams you thought were impossible, setting boundaries you thought were too scary, living a life that feels authentically yours. Which version of yourself do you want to meet a year from now? The woman who stayed small and safe, or the woman who dared to become untamed? I know which one I'm betting on. I'm betting on you. I'm betting on your courage, your strength, your magnificent, untamable spirit. But more importantly, you need to bet on yourself. You need to believe that you're worth fighting for, that your dreams matter, that your authentic life is possible. Right now, I want you to do something. I want you to comment below with one thing, just one thing, that you're going to do differently, starting today. Maybe it's a boundary you're going to set, a dream you're going to pursue, a conversation you're going to have, or a belief you're going to change. Write it down, make it real, make it public, make it a commitment not just to yourself, but to this community of women who are all on the same journey. And then I want you to do something else. I want you to share this message with another woman who needs to hear it. Because becoming untamed isn't just about your individual transformation, it's about creating a movement of women who refuse to live small. Every woman who chooses authenticity makes it easier for the next woman to do the same. Every woman who sets boundaries gives permission for others to set theirs. Every woman who pursues her dreams lights the way for others to follow. Your untaming isn't just about you. It's about your daughters, your sisters, your friends, and women you'll never meet but whose lives will be touched by your courage. Subscribe to this channel if you want more content that challenges you to live authentically. Hit the notification bell if you want to be reminded that you're powerful, worthy, and capable of incredible things. But most importantly, remember this: you were not born to live a small, safe, tamed life. You were born to be magnificent. You were were born to take up space, to use your voice, to follow your dreams, to live boldly and authentically. The world tried to tame you, but they failed, because the wild, powerful, authentic woman you really are has been waiting inside you all along. She's been patient, but she's ready now. She's ready to speak her truth, to follow her dreams, to set her boundaries, to live her life on her own terms. She's ready to be untamed, and so are you. The only question left is this: are you ready to meet her? Your untamed life is waiting. Your authentic self is calling. Your dreams are possible. But first, you have to be brave enough to answer the call. The time is now. The person is you. The life is yours to create. Go forth and be gloriously, magnificently untamed. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for being brave enough to listen, to question, to consider the possibility that there's more to life than the cage you've been living in. Your transformation starts now, and I can't wait to see who you become. Until next time, remember, you are not too much, you never were. You are exactly as much as you need to be. Now go show the world what untamed looks like.